I'm Old Sneelock. Welcome to another episode of Old Sneelock's Workshop. When I assembled the picture frame, I purposely left these boards a little bit long, knowing that I was not entirely sure where the gripping point on these pieces of canvas wrapped wood would land. Every time I work with something that's got a little variation in it, I try and give myself an out. Now I'm going to score this along the edge so that when I cut it, I have a fair chance of actually making a cut reasonably close to the line that I want. Yeah, this is a Kmart special. I got it because I had wanted one of these knives for quite a while, and they had one sitting in a rack for $3, and I thought, well, I'm not going to spend $100 on a knife, but $3, I'll take a shot at it. So now I have a actually fairly good knife. I'm surprised at the condition it's in for being a $3 knife. The scales are plastic, which is kind of to be expected, but it opens and closes with one hand, so that's kind of a handy thing, no pun intended, but I do like it. Still have my old timer, but I'm trying to get used to using this one because I intend to have this one be my everyday carry. For one thing, it's a $3 knife. If something happens to it in the midst of a project, I'm not going to be overly disappointed. I will probably just buy another one. At the same time, it seems to work quite well. Okay, now I have the boards marked, so I can trim this off. I'm going to leave it a little bit long and use the shooting board to bring it down to the exact size that I want it to be. So I'm going to take these screws loose with these paintings sitting on top of the bench, and then I will cut this piece short and try remounting it. Now I could do this by hand, but over the years I've developed carpal tunnel and found that power drivers make it so my wrist doesn't hurt when I'm done with a project. And that's a real good reason to use them. Marking the parts to show where they go always means that I have a much better chance of hitting them back where they belong. the center screws for last means that I only have to try and balance this one piece. I'm not out there on the end to take the screw out and hold the piece in line too. Now there's an added benefit to having masking tape holding the paintings in. It's also holding that board on, which is a good thing. Now, although none of these are obviously Picassos, the idea is to not damage anything that's irreplaceable. And these are essentially irreplaceable. I won't need all these hangers, which even though when I hung them individually, I hunted all these hangers up so that they would match and be the right level and all that other stuff. And installed them carefully so that they would be centered and at the right height. I don't need them anymore. They will be redundant. I might end up with a couple of them up here on the top just to hold everything in place. But they no longer hold up the individual paintings. A little drop of oil keeps things running smoothly. And since this thing is getting awfully close to 100 years old, it deserves a little TLC. I've been asked, why do I use a handsaw? Well, I have a perfectly fine working DeWalt chop saw out in the garage. It does beautiful miters. Got a sharp blade. Can't beat it for as far as accuracy. I've made cove molding joints with it that would be, quite frankly, very difficult on any other kind of saw. But this one just feels right. When it cuts smooth and square. Every joint is exact. Never have a problem with it getting out of position. It's adjustable so that I can use it to do 45-degree miters as easily as just moving it and letting it fall into the notch. Does a great job. And one of the best things is, down here in the basement, if I use the DeWalt, I'd have sawdust floating in the air the full day. This way, all the sawdust is right there on the top of the saw table. If you're working in the basement and you don't want to have a dust collector roaring all the time or have that loud screeching power tool, hand saws are the way to go. This Stanley 358 will cut a piece that's 5 1/4 inches tall. And with a shorter saw, smaller strokes, it'll cut more. It's just a handy piece of equipment to have. And it's old, and I like old tools. When I made up this base for the miter saw, it was an idea that I would be able to clamp it into the vise on the bench. And it works quite well for that, but clamping it to this wooden bench with a couple of Jorgens and clamps on the sides works really good. Putting the screws in by hand does give me one advantage. I can control the action of the screw a lot easier. And it lets me creep up on the size of things. You want to have this one extremely flush. And by drawing them up by hand, I can also make sure that I don't over torque them. Sometimes you just need to do a little springing to make things come out exactly where you want them. I don't know if this is some design feature of the driver that comes with a Kreg jig or just an accidental thing that happened in the shop. It turns out it's magnetic, which makes it very handy when I'm putting in these screws, because it lets me hold them on the end of the screwdriver. So that they come out square. This is the longest reach bar clamp that I have. It's not a pipe clamp. Pipe clamps are okay. They're a little rough on things though. And this lets me just kind of tweak things in where I want them. And that's what it's all about. This was a cheap acquisition. I don't even remember where I got it from. But it sure is nice when you're going to use one of these type of screws, because it lets you take that driver and put it into a hand tool. And there are 1,001 different kind of bits that you can get for it. Plus it has this nifty little ratcheting feature. It has USA patent 973945. And then on it also it has ROC patent 44666. Don't know what that means, not gonna go there. No other name on it, but you see it, one of these laying around loose, go ahead and pick it up. It's a handy thing to have. Now some quick sanding, just to make sure I got all the rough edges taken off. And then paste wax. Because the future owner has decided that paste wax is the perfect surface for it. She'd like to have it not be glinting. And paste wax will give it kind of a satin finish. If you have any suggestions for a new video, questions about today's video, or any of the other videos on the channel, just drop a note in the comments below. You know I read them all. Thanks for watching. And don't forget to click the like and subscribe button.